Hey, and welcome back to the fifth and final part of our Mario Shuffle board game tutorial. So we finished the majority of the gameplay here. Today we're going to sweat those little details that make a game next level, that make something look really professional. We're going to add a professional looking user interface with a custom thumbnail, with custom end screens, and also some help text. I think a lot of early game designers who are just getting into this really expect the player to kind of figure stuff out as they're going along, and so we're going to add some little helpful text prompts and stuff that are going to make sure that players who are playing this game for the first time are going to know what to do. So let's get right to that, guys. So we now have some interface elements to work on, so let's start cleaning that up. I'm going to start with the help menu down in the bottom right hand of the screen here. And the help menu is just a bunch of blocks at the bottom here, text blocks that help you to prompt you to do the different things that you need to do in the game. Just a simple set of instructions to help you through here. It's invisible by default, but we can click on the eyeball tool here to show them. And we can see that there's a couple of different settings here telling you that it's player one's move, or that it's player one's second move, or that it's player two's first move, or player two's second move. There's also some other prompts to remind you about rolling the dice. It'll say hold space to roll the dice. And once you're rolling the dice, it'll tell you to release them, release space to stop. There's a block here that says character is finished. That's going to go off when a player leaves the board. And there's another signal here that's going to tell you you rolled doubles. So we just need to do a whole bunch of code that makes these little help prompts appear and disappear depending on what we're doing. First of all, they're a little big, so we're going to, when we click the green flag, we're going to resize them to 60% and then hide them. So the main thing that this is going to be used for is determining whose turn it is. So every time we receive that new turn, we're going to restart a loop here. We're going to stop it when we're doing other stuff, but usually this is going to stay inside a loop. And we're going to just check whose turn it is and which dice it is we're rolling. So if it's turn one and our active die is 1, then we're going to send out a message saying player 1 is your first move. If it's still turn 1 but our active die is switched to 2, we'll send a different message. And the same for the other two circumstances. If it's turn 2 and we're on our first dice, or turn 2 we're on our second dice. Before we test this out, we might as well just finish up the rest of it. There's nothing too complicated here. So when we're rolling the dice, we're going to want to break out of this loop, because we don't want to be displaying whose turn it is while we're rolling the dice here. So we're going to stop other scripts in this sprite. That will stop this loop and start this running, and then we'll at the end of it we'll broadcast a new turn and start that that loop running again. So we're going to want it to be visible here. That'll make it visible for the rest of the game. Basically, we want it hidden at the beginning while our menu is playing, while our thumbnail is playing, but later on we'll want it to be visible. Now we're going to switch the costume to the one that's prompting us to hold down the space to start rolling. So that's going to tell us to start rolling the dice. We're going to wait till we actually press the key space button. And then we're going to get another prompt here that says to release it to stop the dice. And again, it'll wait until we've let go of the dice, wait until not key pressed. And then once that happens, we broadcast a new turn, and that will start this loop running again where it's prompting us for whose turn it is. Excellent. When I receive character has finished, so that's when somebody actually moves across the finish line and finishes the game. Again, we're going to stop the loop here. We're going to stop other scripts in the sprite. And we're going to switch to player finished costume, which is going to say character is finished. All right. When there's doubles, we're just going to, again, stop other scripts and tell everyone that there's doubles with a costume change. And that's pretty much it for this one. So let's run the game and have a look at what that looks like now. And as soon as our game starts, we have a prompt here to hold the space button to roll our dice. Let's start rolling our dice. You can see that the prompt changes to ask us to release it. There we go. And now we've switched over to the prompt telling us it's player one's turn to move. So let's move Luigi here.
I'm ready. Oh, yeah.
There we go. And after Luigi's finished, it switches to second move. Perfect. So let's finish Mario here. There we go. And now we've switched over to player two. Hold space to roll dice, and we're right back into the next thing. And here we go. Player two, first move. Okay, so that's working beautifully. Okay, we have another user interface element we want to take care of now, and that is the player display. And what that's going to do is just tell us in really big letters whether it's player one's turn or player two's turn. You can see there's different costumes up there depending on whose turn it is, and that's going to make it really obvious who's up next. So to do that, we're just going to need a green flag. We're going to switch to player one by default at the beginning, and we're going to show it. And then we're going to have it go to the location where it is on the screen here, which is -126, 150. When it gets player one's turn, it's going to switch costume to player one, and the same for player two. And this other block we added way back in, I think, the first or second episode, and that was just the dice rolling sound when the dice finishes. We didn't want to do it on the same sprite where we were doing the rest of our dice rolling, so we moved it over here just to get rid of it. Okay, and that's all there is to that little bit. Let's just have a look at it. Player one, hold space to roll dice. We'll let go, roll our dice. And here we go. Let's move
I'm
three.
ready. Oh, yeah.
And then we'll move
Okie
Mario.
dokie.
And you'll see that as soon as Mario is done, we switch over to player two. The prompt's asking us to roll our dice again, and everything's working smoothly. Okay, a few more interface elements to clear up, and then we should be pretty much done. So let's start with the backdrop, where we've got our background music going. We got a couple of different clips in here. This first one, the theme song, is just your Mario theme music. Quite a lovely little track. Definitely puts one in the mood to play a Mario game. Now this second version is a copy of the file, but without the beginning. We're going to want that intro part with the piano to play at the beginning, but then we're not going to, after the first time through, we're going to want to start repeating without that intro sequence. So we're going to go from this one into an internal loop of this other one. Now, when things get scary and the game starts ending, the game will alert you with this warning message, and then it is going to revert back to this theme song, but we're going to do a fun pitch effect to speed it up so that instead of playing this, we're going to have it, well, probably not that fast. So we're going to use a pitch effect to speed up that sound. And that's going to create that sense of urgency that you often find in Mario games when things are getting exciting. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the code. I'm not going to be building this as we go here because it's all fairly straightforward and I just want to blast through it. So at the beginning, we're going to set green flag. We're going to click the green flag to get started. We've got a variable here called final lap that's going to know when to speed up that music. So it's going to be at 0 at first until we have only one player left in the game on either side, and then that's going to change to 1. And so that's how we'll keep track of that. We're going to start our original theme music, as I said, and then we're going to start playing it forever as long as that final lap is at 0. We're just going to keep playing that second version without the intro over and over again. We're also going to initialize a few other things under the green flag here. We're going to set that pitch effect to 0 because it will remember, and if we speed up the pitch during the last game, it's going to affect the next game. We're going to want to make sure we're on that background, though actually I've removed the other background, so we don't really need that anymore. We're going to initialize the points, red team points and blue team points, to 0. And this little bit of the script here is the part that's actually going to speed things up. So we've just put this for simplicity into its own script here. So at the beginning, we're going to wait 1 second. So our if statement here is checking to see if our red team or blue team has scored more than 1 point. So if we're at 2 points, that means that we're 1 point away from winning the game. We've got 2 of our players in. And so at that point is when we're going to start speeding stuff up. We're going to set that final lap variable to 1, which is going to shut off this sound here. And we're, just to be sure, we're going to do a stop all sounds. That's going to stop everything. And then we're going to play that hurry up sound effect, which again sounds like that. Then we're going to change the pitch. We're going to set the pitch effect to 50 and then play this sound. And as you can see with the pitch effect, it definitely has a faster kind of feel to it, right? And that's going to play the initial theme and then again get into a loop of the theme without the intro. And we're just going to keep playing that for the rest of it. Otherwise, if we're not at the end of the game, we're just going to set that pitch back to 0 again. All right. And now we've got a couple of commands we're going to get into in a second. This music might get annoying for some players, so we do have a mute button at the bottom here, and I'm going to be coding that in just a second. But it's going to work off of messages, so when music is on, we're going to just set the volume to 25%. It's quite a loud track here. And then when music is off, we're going to change that volume to 0% instead of stopping it. When there's a game over, we're going to stop all the other scripts in the sprite, and that's just going to shut everything off. Okay, the mute button. So we've got something called music icon here. It's a nice little green and white icon. So we didn't necessarily have to have this green color behind the object because it is appearing against a green background here. We could theoretically just have the white icon against the green. It would be visible. The problem is if we click in between the object, if we click here, for example, in the green area, Scratch won't register it as a click. When you've got something really tiny like this that you're trying to click and there's big wide open spaces in it, that makes things very difficult. So we've just filled in the area around this with a bit of green, which is making it easier to click, basically. All right, the code for that is not too complicated. We've shrunk this way down to 10%. We've got an XY coordinate for it, which is -191, -174. And we're just waiting a fraction of a second before we start it off at the beginning of the game. And if its costume number is 1, then we're going to broadcast music on, and the else is music off. So just depending on what that costume is, we're going to turn the music on or off. And then when we click the sprite, we're going to check that existing costume number for already wearing costume 1. Then we're going to switch to costume 2, which is the music off button, and we'll broadcast that music off message, and vice versa, the else. If we click on it and the music and the costume is not number 1, that'll mean it's the music off button, and when we click it, it'll switch to music on and turn the music on. Okay, that part's all very straightforward, so let's give that a try. We'll click on the green flag. There's our beautiful background music, and you see when we click even in the middle of the music note, we get a little slash across it, and our music stops, and then it starts up again. There, so now we have full control over the musical background, in case that gets annoying. All right, and you did see the thumbnail that I've set up here as well. The thumbnail is something that I like to put into projects now, and most pro Scratchers are doing that as well. Just a nice way to give people an initial look at the game that's a little more fancy and graphically nice looking, rather than just getting right into the game. So our thumbnail code is not too complicated. We're just going to go when green flag clicked. We're going to have this running all the time at the front of the screen is the idea. And when we're playing the game, we're going to ghost effect this away so that it disappears, fades slowly away. And then when we stop, because these graphic effects don't persist after the game is stopped, you can see that it fades away. And then as soon as we hit stop, it reasserts itself right at the front again. And that way, you're always going to see this Mario Shuffle thing first when you play the game. And even when you try to stop playing the game, you're going to see the title over again. All right, so when the green flag is clicked, we're going to set our ghost effect to 0, which means this is going to be fully visible because it's not ghosted at all. We're going to hide these two variables at the bottom. They're making things look a little ugly. Then we're slowly going to fade away. And then our die roll is going to reappear. So we're just going to make these reassert themselves. And then we're going to be in a loop here where we're constantly going to the front. And we're just going to wait for one of the teams to win the game. So if red team, player 1, wins the game if they get 3 points, we're going to switch costumes. And we actually have a win and a costume for both players here inside the thumbnail. So here's the player 1 wins. And here's player 2 wins with a Princess Peach on it. All right, so if red team points are 3, we switch to player 1 and we broadcast a game over message. And ditto for player 2 getting 3 points. We switch costumes and broadcast game over. Okay, so what happens when we get that game over message? We're going to hide those variables again. We're going to stop all the sounds, including the background music. We're going to stop this loop from running. We don't need it anymore. So we're going to stop other scripts in this sprite. And then we're going to play a Mario Victories theme, which is this one here. There we go, a nice dramatic way to end the game. Then we are going to fade this thumbnail back in again. Or sorry, we're going to fade the proper costume for the winning condition in. So the player 2 or player 1 wins costume is going to be faded in. We're going to make the ghost effect go from 100 down to 0 again. Then after 10 seconds or so, if the game is still running, we're going to hide it quickly. Just fade it out again, switch the costume back to the default one, and then fade it back in again, and then stop the whole thing. So let me just broadcast a game over message here so you can see what that looks like. We'll just go to our events and do a broadcast. Game over, and let me show you what that's going to look like. Oh, okay, so that's not faded in because we haven't initialized it. So we're going to, let's actually click the green flag to start. There we go. So that fades away. And now let's do a game over. We have to change the costume first, though, too, because that's not going to change. So let's make it as though player 1 wins here. Then we'll broadcast game over. There we go. There's a player 1 winning. And then after a little bit, we revert back. It fades out and then fades back in again with the proper Mario Shuffle title screen. Okay, so that is about the end of it. That was a lot of tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I haven't done a board game quite like this one before, and I thought it actually worked quite nicely. So congratulations again to David Cotton, our co-op student who put this game together. He's a huge Mario fan, and you can see the love of Mario that he's injected into every single aspect of this game. So really proud of you, David. You did a fantastic job. So I will be back again. This is our, we've got a Christmas project coming up in a couple of days, and then I'm going to take a little break, but we'll be back again in the new year with all kinds of fun game tutorials. Please, if you like what you see here, give us a like and a subscribe, maybe a comment, and everything that you do supports our channel and keeps us making great content for you. So thanks very much for joining me, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye.